Yeah, it's almost like I use this as a trigger. Boom! I'll hit them, knock them down.
Your time to know, forfeit the game, cause tomorrow, when it's all done, you reap what you sow.
Hit it. Boom, boom, boom! Bang! I hit them. Boom, boom, boom! And then I'll put it again. Okay, so I've got the guy, he's big, he's aggressive, he's starting to get in my face, he's moving in, he's closing down the distance. I don't let him get that far. The moment he's at this distance here, it's almost like I use this as a trigger. Boom! I'll hit him and knock him down. Pull it. Boom! There, like that, that's it. As you can see, he's staggered, so I'm moving in, boom! And I'll hit him again. And I make sure I hit him until he stays down. That was quite nice, yeah. So, boom, there. Down. And I make sure he stays down. So I blind him up, okay? Situation's getting tense. Bang! And I follow him down and make sure I stay with him. You'll notice I didn't go to the ground. I'm not going to roll around on the ground fighting him. It's dangerous. It's dangerous for me because he might have accomplices. And you'll also notice if we just do this again, bang! Bang! I'm actually looking around. I'm not just looking at him, I know he's going down. But I need to look around at my environment. 360-degree awareness to make sure I know but he hasn't got any pals. If you hit him hard and fast, you know what? His pals will have fucked off long ago because they don't want a piece of this action. Thanks, Richard. This one. Now we're going to look at this scenario with a hook. Standard technique that's been thrown by wankers in pubs. Okay, I'm saying to the guy, look, calm down, relax, I don't want any fucking trouble, because I don't. Okay? Get this in your head. You don't want trouble, but if it comes looking for you, you need to deal with it. You need to deal with it effectively, you need to deal with it quickly. So again, from my line-up, he throws a hook. Bang! I hit it. Boom, boom, boom! And I'll hit him again and again and again. You notice I had hold of his head that time? That makes for a particularly effective elbow strike. So I've got the distance. I'm controlling the space. He moves in. Boom! I hit him with this. I hit him with this, okay? And again. If he does go down, I grab his head and actually throw him down and strike. Open hand again, the head. Notice also, I'm dropping the knee on his thorax here. I'm dropping all of my body weight onto his chest. This creates a lot of damage. Full speed. Do full speed. Yeah. I'm fucking aggressive when I'm doing it. Okay, that's the key. You don't be smiling as they go down. You're not blending latching on to the powers of the universe here. You're beating the shit out of this guy. Okay? Might look like Aikido, but it's not. Again? Or should we do another one? Another perfect example against a hook. Okay? Richard moves at me with a hook. I step in. I actually step inside of the hook. I can strike him here or here. Okay? And once I've got him here, I've got a lot of control. Once I've got him here, I can pull him down and throw him over. Boom! Bang! Bang! Again, striking the head. That was a nice fall.
No, that's a good one.
Are you okay? Okay, so you can see what we're doing here. Again, I step inside and hit him. See what I'm doing? I'm actually hitting him here. Okay? Or here. Choice is yours. What's your favourite weapon? Use it. Train it. Bang. From here, I'll just roll him down, throw him over. Nothing fancy there, and drop on him. I'm actually slapping on the head, but bouncing his head off the surface beneath. Okay, in this case, concrete. It's a car park. That would do a significant amount of damage to him. This would work against a knife. If he's got an edged weapon of any kind, it would work the same way. Okay? That's for another DVD. Okay, again, the jab slap. Okay? From your line-up. He moves towards you. Boom! There he goes. Straight down, and that's how he should go down. It's not very dramatic, it's not very movie-like, but that's how he'll go down. You can see that he's finished with. The same effect will be from the palm heel straight to the head as well. So for example, from here, yeah, boom! There. There he goes. If he hasn't gone down, I'm moving in, I'm watching, I'm going to hit him again. You've got plenty of time between those two strikes. Don't think you've got to dash in. You're not scoring points in a competition. You're finishing this guy off. Now you may notice that after I've hit him, bang, there, I'm looking around. I'm making sure that there's none of his accomplices around. And that is how you do a preemptive slap, jab slapper, the way it's used by the SAS. Forehead, again, I can multiple strikes here. A friend of mine used it, bam, this way. You see the effect? It knocks him down. I make sure he stays down. It sends a clear message out to his friends, if he has any. You know, that A, he's a wanker, and B, I'm not to be fucked with. That's a clear message you've got to send out. Okay. Okay. That's a move. Okay, go. Alright, do you want that forward? Somebody moves in quickly. Someone who moves in, gets hold of you, physically tries to control your space. This would happen in pubs, in clubs, close range places where people are mingling together. When you're in this sort of situation, you've got to take the best possible opportunity to deal with it effectively. You don't want to be trying to struggle and fight against him. Just move. Just step and move. You can move from any position and move and grab the head. So I've got, again, head control. Taking Richard down and into the ground. Okay? And from those close range positions, yeah, for example, from this side, here, okay? What's to stop you striking the side of the head here? Right at the beginning of the DVD, I mentioned about striking the, hitting the eardrum. A cupped hand against the ear like this will create sufficient pain to knock this attacker down. And then I can reach for the head, and if I need to, head rip and a head control and takedown. Again, back to my final position. Okay? If he grabs me side on this way, where the arms are both trapped like this, yeah, it might feel trapped, but actually just with a slight movement, I've got control. Okay? Remember, these movements have got to be done quickly. I'm demonstrating it slowly for the benefit of you guys. But you can see from this position what I can do. The opportunities here to do tremendous amounts of damage are extensive. Taking him down and back this way, he's in real trouble. He's in a world of shit and a world of pain. Okay, here you go. Okay, so he grabs you. The moment he grabs you, bang, that's when you make your move. Okay, that's when you make your move. That's when you make your move. That's when you make your move. Okay? You can see from this position, it's something quite interesting here. Look at what you're doing. All I've got to do is that. He's taken down to the ground. You've just got to think about what's going on around you. You don't need to do martial arts to learn this stuff. This is obvious. Okay, let's see that again. He grabs me. Boom! I can move my elbow up and hit him here. Think about what you're doing. I can roll it over this way. I can grab his head. I can take him round and down to the ground. And when this is done at speed, it does tremendous amounts of damage to the head and the neck. We'll do this as fast as we can, but bearing in mind that I've got to be careful here because I can do serious damage to Richard's neck. He moves in. Bang! Move! Quickly take control. Bang, bang, bang. I'm going down. If his hand's up, he's protecting his head. Fine. Hit the side of it. It doesn't matter. If his hand's up, throw it away and then hit him again. Okay? It's all about that aggression. We'll see again. He grabs me this side. Every time it's going to be different. I'm in a different position this time. From here, it's pretty obvious what I can do. Some of you martial artists out there will be going, oh yes, chop to the groin. Fine. If that works, fine. Wouldn't be my first option. My first option would be to turn and hit him here. Because again, I don't want to just hurt him. I actually want to knock him out. So I've just opened up the jaw area here. And there he goes again. Oh, and down he goes. Okay? So let's see a couple of those at speed. Because to be perfectly honest, I don't know what I'm going to do until he attacks me. And that's the situation you're going to be in. What you've got to learn to do is build these SOPs, palm heel strikes, elbows, knees, head controls. Watch what happens. Let's see what happens. Okay, moves in. Boom. one down. So Rich. Fuck, you just took your fucking head off then, mate. Sorry, mate. Fucking sorry about that. You walked straight onto it. But you see what happened there? Richard moved in. Slow motion, I hit him. I don't care, okay, for any fancy techniques. I saw him moving, stick my palm heel strike out. Okay, that did sufficient damage for me to control him from there. Let's just see one more. Let's say you're really switched off. Let's leave it. Let's say you're really fucking switched off. Remember, none of this works if you're pissed. My watch did a little bit of work there for me as well. So I caught his nose and ripped into it. You alright? This is real stuff. This works. This is not martial arts, this is fighting art. You go through a lot of training partners with this stuff. So you've got to take it easy and be careful. Richard's trained. The other guys you've seen on this DVD all train with me. Okay, they know the score when they're training in this stuff. You know, there's one important thing I've got to say here. Is if you want to train but you're not prepared to get the odd bump and bruise, fuck it off. Stay at home, do not go out. Yeah? You might be able to fool yourself doing martial arts, that you're getting tough, that you're becoming a warrior. It's absolute bullshit. You know, there's only one group of warriors in this world, and those are the lads that are serving in Iraq and Afghanistan. People are actually fighting, okay? They're putting their lives on the line every single fucking day. They're learning things like this, as well as how to kill people with lead and with steel. Okay, they're the only real fighters out there. So if you're going to try and fool yourself and think, well, I'll play with this, you're taking the piss out of me, and you're taking the piss out of yourself. Okay? When you train hard and you train aggressively. Remember, the way you train is the way you react. If you train to work innocuous techniques, simple techniques that don't work, stuff like he attacks me and I go block, punch, punch, punch. Okay, it might be great in the dojo, but in the real world, that's not going to cut the mustard, not at all. And the way you train is the way you react. So when we train together, Richard attacks me, yeah, bang, bang, that's the way I react. And I do it aggressively, and you can see in this DVD that I am turning on the aggression. Okay? You've got to understand this. Without speed, aggression and surprise, this is nothing. You're wasting your time even watching the DVD. It's about real fighting. Okay, some people make reference to what if I get attacked from behind. I said right at the beginning of the DVD that awareness was a prime concern, and if you're switched on and aware of what's going on, this sort of situation, which Richard's going to demonstrate, should never happen. If you're up against someone who's doing even a little bit of judo, even a little bit of grappling and wrestling, once he gets you into one of these, there is no way out. You will be unconscious within about 8 seconds. This is why I think it's a pointless exercise teaching anybody. But let's just say, yeah, let's do a what if. Okay, so the guys grab you from behind. Yeah, you've been unaware, you've been caught from behind. The moment he puts that on, you need to start moving quickly, and you need to move to the weakest point of the lock. You don't want to go this way, you want to go this way. Okay, and then pull them in this way. Now I know you guys want to go off and practice this shit. Okay, so if I break it down again, just so the benefit. Okay, bear in mind though, I'd rather you didn't do this. I think you shouldn't be in this position. It's bollocks. I've never been caught from behind by anybody, okay? Because I always watch my back. Okay, what do? Yeah? I catch him and turn. Remember, if you put this on too late, he's choking you out, and you're in serious shit, yeah? As soon as I move through the weak point here, I've got hold of the arm. If I want to be a policeman and I can be fancy, I can go to an arm lock here. I personally don't like arm locks. I'll hold the hand and I'll strike the head. Or reach and grab the head this way. Pulling him round and down, and then guess what? Yeah, you guessed it. Bang, bang, bang. That good old palm heel strike. Okay, so that's my take on what to do if you grab from behind on that particular situation. But please don't end up in this situation. You're wasting your time. If you do, okay, that's how I would deal with it. Right? It pisses you off. It's been plaguing you all night. This is a technique that I personally used, yeah? We were trying to take a guy in for a question, he didn't want to come. He wasn't happy about it. Just down this side, Richard. This is just so you can see the technique better. Basically, he didn't want to come. And we developed this thing, Kenny and me, and we call it an RTD. The Army's fond of acronyms, and RTD was one of our big ones. Rapid Tarmac Deceleration. And you'll see why. The guy's not being particularly recollected. He doesn't want to come with me. He just didn't want to move. He wasn't motivated at all to come with me. So I hit him in the groin. The head comes forward like this. I grab his head, grab his jaw, and then we pushed him into the tarmac like so. Obviously I can't demonstrate this at speed with Richard because he would end up with the old RTD scar, which is the face being dragged through the gravel, as it were. Let's just see that again. The hand comes down, hit the groin. Head comes forward, grab the head and the jaw, pull him down into the ground, smashing his face into the ground. Remember, use the environment. That's an RTD. Nice little technique, good fun. You don't necessarily have to hit them into the ground. If you've got somebody at the bar, yeah, you haven't really got a lot of space. You hit him in the ground, head comes forward, you can turn him and push the head over. Smack him down onto the ground this way. Or, as was a favourite of a friend of mine, hit the groin, grab the head and bounce it off the bar. Again, it's keeping it simple. Hit the groin, head control, smash the head off the bar. You can imagine what the result was. Be careful that there's not a glass ashtray on the bar. A friend of mine did 7 months for that. Okay, so from here.
Come out here with a punching and
The shot is basically really inside the punch and so on. The important thing is that I'm stepping inside each time. You know what I mean? That's the point to make. What I do there.
say that.
Yeah. Okay, what I'm doing here is pretty straightforward. From my line-up position here, as Richard throws the punch, I'm actually stepping inside of it, physically stepping inside of the technique, so that I'm actually getting as close as possible to him, disorientate. Which is one of the features of what I do. If I can hit them without holding them, I will. But if they're throwing a technique at me, particularly hooks, I need to get inside and crash inside and hit him. If, for example, it's a straight punch, I'll just crash in like so. This works just as effectively. So he throws a straight punch, boom! It doesn't matter where that punch goes. It might hit me here, bang, great. It might slide on the inside, there. So it's like a wedge, and it's redirecting the punch away. The thing is, to be perfectly honest, even if he accidentally catches me, boom, I'm still going to hit him back and hit him again. The whole idea behind this system is it doesn't really matter. I don't want to get hit, obviously, but if I get hit, I'm still going to carry on fighting. Okay, most people cannot punch. Most people cannot strike and knock out because simply they don't train for it. So when some arsehole in a pub punches me here on the side of the head, boom, I'll just come back at him because he hasn't knocked me out. If he hasn't knocked me out, I'm not fucking going down. He's going to go down now. And to be perfectly honest, if somebody hits me, I'm now really pissed off. Okay, getting back to the point, okay? Whether it's a hook or a straight punch, I'm going to move forward in every single time. And that doesn't matter whether it's a right or a left. If he throws a left, I'm just going to move in. All I can be sure of is that he's trying to hit me. If I do this, and then I have to come back, it's taken me a long time. So get it done. Get it sorted. As he attacks me, bang, 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 then I'm going to hit him. And if I've got hold of his arm, I'm going to take him down. Bang. Okay? No fancy hip throws, no fancy judo. This is just a simple throw. I control his head. By controlling the head, you can do a lot of damage. By controlling someone's head, I can actually control all movement. Laterally, like this, or like so, and knock them to the ground. Okay? So I'm in a palm heel strike. There's no reason why I can't be turned into a head grab and a hair rip, and then a head rip, and take him round and down to the ground like so, providing he's got hair. It doesn't matter if he hasn't got hair. For example, Andy, I'll just get Andy in. He doesn't have hair, so I haven't got to you know, the benefit of grabbing a bouffant hairstyle as Richard. Yeah, I can still grab the head and hold on to the head. Once I've got hold of the head, I can hit him with elbows, I can hit him with palm heel strikes, or I can just grab the head and throw Andy to the ground and finish him off. Okay, so bear that in mind. Don't go for grabbing clothing because it rips and tears. Okay, and he can get away from me. Okay, I'll go for the head. And once I've got the head, I can rip the face around, like so, and pull him down to the ground. Okay, that's Andy. So, controlling the head's vitally important. Strikes are my first priority, always. Strike, hit them hard, hit them fast. Once I've moved in, I've got control of the head, I can then take them to where I want them. That could be the corner of a wall, it could be the floor, as you've seen. Yeah, it could be the corner of a door, it could be the edge of a car bonnet. Depends on the environment. And what we said right at the beginning of this DVD, look at the environment. There's a lot of stuff you can use, and I don't just mean a pick up. I've got some ammo cases down there. If Richard kicks off now, yeah, and I hit him, boom, I can grab him and start to throw him into these objects here. Exceptionally painful. Okay? If he's standing here and he throws a strike at me, boom, I move in. You see, I've got that same old trap that we had earlier on. I hit him, and then I push him down, and his head hits the corner of those ammo cases. Saves me a lot of trouble, saves me a lot of hassle, and do a serious amount of damage just by redirecting his head on any objects that you've got. Car bonnets I've already mentioned, the corner, big jeeps, big people carriers, that takes someone's head off. Okay? The corner of walls, the corner of door frames. Look at the surrounding area and use those key elements there to effect some sort of damage via the use of the head control. You see me already demonstrate this head control and this head control. I mentioned about head rips. This is where you would physically grab the face like so, or the jaw, and rip the head round like this. Yeah? It's a particularly effective way of fighting someone close in, because once you've got control of the head, as I said earlier on, you've got control of the man himself. So you can turn those palm heel strikes into very effective orientation tools, if you like to call them that. Okay? So if we just demonstrate that once more, this time I'll demonstrate it with a strike with the web of the hand, which I've talked about. Richard attacks me, I move in, boom, I hit him in the throat. Yeah? Once I've hit him in the throat, I'll grab the head and pull him round. And you see what I'm doing now? I'm reaching down, I'm grabbing the head this way, and I'm pulling him round and down onto the ground, or onto the corner of an object, or in some instances, you know, onto my knee. Because the knee is one of the most powerful weapons you've got as well. Second to the elbow, the knee is a great weapon. Not a good initial weapon to use because it means you're on one leg. You don't want to be on one leg. You want to be up on both feet wherever possible. But the knee can be used here, for example. Again, that good old hook. Boom, I strike Richard, this time in the throat. I grab his head, pull it down. And then from here, I can knee to the face. Okay, my preference is always a knee to the body. Yeah, wherever possible. But that subsequent control here allows me to control the ground. And again, finishing them off with that good old jab slapping. Knees, primarily for my purposes, are directed to the bladder or the groin, preferably the bladder. Because you hit someone in the bladder, which lies just below the navel, okay, the belly button here, yeah, if that bladder's full and you knee it, strike it in any way, it will start to split and burst. This causes major internal damage. It's quite a serious technique to use on anyone. Of course, you wouldn't know that he just had 10 pints. So when you hit him, it's an expanded bag that splits rapidly. Okay? An example here, the way I would use it, I'd come in, I'd strike Richard again with this or here, grab it and then knee deep into the body cavity here. And if I slam it in hard enough, it'll wind him, it'll take the wind out of his cells. And from here, guess what? I just go into my good old head rip, there he goes. Bam, straight down again. Standard operational procedures. You see how I always end up with the same technique. I finish off. My intention here is not to show you thousands of different techniques, but how to use some simple techniques in thousands of different scenarios. Because each scenario is going to be different. So, What happens if we've got somebody who tries to kick you? It's quite common. They'll take a swinging kick at you. Not as common as punches. How do we deal with that? Well, let's have a look at it. We can see Richard's already on one leg. Unless he's a martial artist, unless he's a good Thai boxer, those kicks aren't going to really do much damage. I actually always go to the point where I'll just grab one. Or, if he's sort of coming up here, I'll actually step inside of it. This way. You can see a kick coming a mile away because the hip chambers and it's a big setup. It's like, whoa, here it comes. Okay? As soon as that kick comes in, you'll see that I'll move off to the side and hit him in the throat. You'll see that I can step off to the side and slap him. And take him out with a palm heel strike. So I'm moving again inside the kick. If you do martial arts and you do a lot of fancy kicking stuff, if you really want to kick someone, all you need to do is, as they're kicking you, is kick, boom, to the knees. Kick to the knee joints and use the shin as a kicking implement. So as the kick comes, I'll step across and kick that knee out. I don't need to tell you how much damage you can do with that. And it's not really possible for me to show you against Richard because he would be incapable of walking for a couple of months. Because I would take out the whole of the cruciate ligament and the knee joint and patella itself. Okay? Once you kick that leg out, I don't think there's really any need for you to be hanging around much longer because he's not going to get up and chase you. If he does, then make sure you can fucking run because he's tougher than you. Okay? So kicks can be evaded, like so, using strikes to finish him off. Yeah? Can be evaded by stepping across and kicking out the support knee. Can be grabbed, like so, catch it, lift it up, and there he goes. Throw him on his arse. He goes straight up in the air and he goes crashing down on the ground. Okay? There are some schools of thought whereby if the kick comes in, bang, I'll step off to the side and grab it. Okay, that's fine. Experiment with this particular aspect of fighting. I personally have never been kicked in any type of street fight. I don't know anybody, my personal friends, that have ever been kicked either. Generally speaking, it's hands first. Well, gob first, hands second, brain last. Okay? So this is something to remember. It's good to train against kicks, but use your common sense. The kicks here are going to come straight at you here, which means he's off balance. Yeah? So by simple evasion, which is a natural reaction, you'll tuck your body. You can catch that leg and throw him up in the air. Or taking a bull by the horns and actually stepping inside of it and kicking out the knees. Yeah, there's lots of techniques like Wing Chun, use different types of standard Thai boxing, use techniques like this known as nab, peck kicks to the knees. They're fine, but there's a chance that your kick, his kick will get you first, so you're going to get hurt. Wherever you can, either catch the leg or move away from it by moving off to the left or the right, yeah, or moving straight down the centre line, turning the body as you move in. Side on, yeah. Somebody's got hold of your side on like this. It's dead simple. You've got to be like water and find a weak point. Again, this only comes through practice. It's not something you can learn from a DVD. You can learn the principle. Okay, so listen to what I'm saying. As he's grabbed you there, start to move around it and go straight for the head. It's that same old palm heel strike again. So again, I'll move into a head control. If he comes this side, it doesn't matter. I'll go for a head control. Here. You know, so I've got fingers in his eyes and his snotty nose, and I'll rip the head back, and I'll keep it holding the arm this time. He's just dropped on my knee. Okay? I'm smashing his head into the ground again. Again, nothing fancy here. It's not Aikido, it's not Judo. It's pretty obvious. It doesn't matter how someone grabs me, I move in and I grab the head. I'm just going to reach for the head, reach for the head, reach for the eye socket. Go for all those soft targets I talked about earlier on. Control it. There he goes. It's easy. No fancy footwork even. It's simple body mechanics, and I'll finish with that again. SOP, standard operational procedures. Okay, when training, as well as using individuals, as you've seen earlier on, for your striking techniques, it's probably best, you know, to save your partners damage and embarrassment, that you start to use equipment for training, and you can do no better than start using Thai pads. These are widely available now in virtually all martial arts shops and any good martial arts magazine. Just make sure that you get the good leather ones that actually do come from Thailand. They last a lot longer, they're much tougher, more resilient to train with. To use pads, you have to know how to hold them. This may sound like a ridiculous thing to say, but in fact, if you know how to hold the pads correctly, yeah, you'll save your partner getting injured and you'll actually get more out of it. I'm going to use Richard again. You can see what he's going to do. He's going to slip his hand up the pad, like so, and make sure that these Velcro fastenings are tight. Not too tight as to cut off the circulation. And for the moment, we're going to actually just use the one pad. We're going to use it for the various techniques that we've been using today. The palm heel strikes, the slaps, the elbow strikes, the knees, and even the kicks. So if we look at the way Richard's standing at the moment, he's holding the pad in a good strong position. And remember, the way you train is the way you react. So we've got to think of this pad as if it's an opponent's head. Okay? It's not just some blue pad that some guy in the gym's holding. This is actually, you treat it as the enemy. Okay? And we work from our line-up, as we've done all of this DVD, and we stand like so. Okay? Your partner then, to replicate the whole thing, moves towards me, like so. That's your signal, if you like, your trigger to strike the pad. Okay? So if we just go through that again, we take the line up, he walks forward, bang, and I hit him. All my attention's focused on the pad. Okay, I treat this as real. That's for the forward palm heel strike. So again, this time at speed, it's here, bang, and you hit him. We can also use, obviously, the swinging palm heel strike that we used earlier, like a hook. Okay? Again, you're standing in position here, your partner moves towards you, now the head's close enough to strike, rotate the hip, and strike with the heel of the palm. Repeating this over and over and over again would build speed, would build power, and would be balance and coordination. Okay, because that's what you need for this to work. Remember, it's important that you look at the target when you strike it. Other ways we can train with this, obviously we can hold the pad in position like so, and we can drive the pad man back. So if you stand closer, Richard, you can actually drive the pad man back with multiple strikes, as we demonstrated, earlier on in the DVD. Driving forward and into the target, vitally important. So that's the palm, the heel palm strikes, okay? We can also obviously use this against elbow strikes. We used earlier on the technique where we stepped inside the opponent and struck them with a side elbow. We can replicate this thing, because now what Richard can do, Richard can actually strike me with the pad, like so. So I practice this technique as it's meant to be done. So again, I step inside. Richard then pulls the pad back to a central position, and you can practice with the elbow. Constantly repeating this technique over and over and over again, makes for a good, powerful elbow strike. And of course, builds your reflexes when dealing with a real situation. So that's one other way in which you can use the tie pads to work elbows. If you're using both pads, you can then build up strength in your left and your right arm. Personally, I think you should stick with what you know. So if you're right-handed, then you're going to use your right hand. If you're left-handed, then you're going to use your left hand. Basically, everything comes from that basic stance, whether you're left or right-handed. Yeah, but sometimes it's good to learn and train to strike with both hands. Again, I'm using open hand strikes here, and it will be the same for the hooks, like so. 1, 2. You'll see how Richard's moving the pads upwards and downwards, keeping them out of the way, but always keeping the pad on the centre line where an opponent's head might be. Okay, like so. Multiple elbow strikes can also be done. Great for building stamina, but actually a fight doesn't last longer than 30 seconds, so you don't actually need that much stamina for a good all-out street fight. The SAS are renowned for their stamina, so that never was in question. Also, okay, when we're working with the pads like so, yeah, we've used elbow strikes side on like this, and side on like this, but we also made mention earlier on of when someone possibly grabs you this way, and we drive the elbow up, okay? So when he grabs me here, he moves in, and I lift the pads here. We lift the elbow up like so. So again, he moves in, elbow strike up, elbow strike down, down onto the target again, the pad. Working with knees and head controls, we can also do that with the pads. So you can see here, Richard's got the pads across his abdomen, protecting his body, his lower body here, and my target pad, the pad that I'm going to hit, is placed across the top. Pads are in position here. And all I'm going to do here is control his head, as I would do from some of the exercises we did earlier, and then drive that knee up and into the pads. And in order to get a really powerful knee, okay, you'll see that what I'm doing is I'm coming up on the toes and driving the hip forward and in. This gives you maximum driving power, maximum power, into the pad to finish the opponent off. With regards to actual scenarios, I mean, you can build a whole scenario here. If Richard, say for example, comes towards me, he attacks me with a hook. So he swings in. I move in and strike with this elbow. I then hit him again with this elbow. I catch his head, pull him down from the head controls we learned earlier, and then drive a double knee into his body. And we can even do the takedowns in the head controls when we're working with a pad. So again, Richard swings in, I move in, I strike him here. I grab him, turn him. There's my head control. Then I drive a knee in. Then I do a face rip and a takedown here. Bump, bump, bump. And strike Richard. So you can see how you can build these scenarios up. And that's what you should do. You should think of every possible situation that you could end up in. And if you can practice them in an environment where you've got a bar, yeah, you're getting in or out of a car, which we're going to look at, that's even better. Obviously we're doing it in a cold light of a training area, yeah, but you understand the point I'm actually making here. So finally, last and not least, we did talk about kicks, and kicks are something you can practice. I personally would never use a kick in a street fight, but I know some of you guys out there have been training martial arts a long time, so you don't want to make use of kicks. If you're going to make use of any kick at all, there are only two that you're going to ever use, and that would be a stamping kick to the body here, like so. And this is used, for example, when someone's rushing towards you and you drive the kick in. It's pretty straightforward. The target area would be the bladder, which I have mentioned earlier when we use the knee. And you would lift and drag it in like so. Okay? If you're right-legged, you'd use your right leg. If you're left-legged, use your left leg. The low kicks, like side-leg kicks to the joints here, which you would only use as a secondary weapon anywhere, yeah, it can be used against the pads here. You can see Richard's going to hold the pad. I'm going to say don't hold the pad like that. For obvious reasons, you can damage the joint. So the best way to use this pad is therefore like that. And again, we're going to kick with the shin, as I mentioned earlier, and cut that across the thigh. Stepping across the pad and then kicking in with the shin, driving the leg across the body. Again, it's a secondary weapon. It's not something I would actually ever use, personally. I'd be happy to take them down with a palm middle strike, an elbow or a knee. And of course the head control does so much more damage. So that's one way in which we can use the pads. We can also use the pads for conditioning, to toughen up the body. So for example, if I'm standing like this, Richard can toughen my midsection up by swinging the pad across, like this, and again, like so. Make sure you breathe out when you do this, obviously. Okay? It's good to get used to being hit, believe it or not, because that's what's probably going to happen in a street fight. If you're slightly switched off, you're going to take one shot and then you have to move in. We discussed that earlier on. So get used to being struck around the body. I mean, I've seen Thai boxers who I work with, yeah, they'll toughen the shins by having the leg lift up, like so. They'll toughen the thighs by standing like so. And the partner relentlessly bangs away at the joint, the thigh here. Again, holding the pad like this, straight into the body. And of course finally the face, which I'm not going to do actually, that's just a joke. So this is how we can use the pads. A variety of different ways to make your training effective. You must learn to hit the pads correctly. You can't just train in these techniques in isolation. You need to hit equipment. If you've got bags, use the bags instead. Okay, I think that makes that clear. Okay, what we do need to do in order to make your self-protection effective, yeah? And it's a way all of us guys in the SAS used to do it. We used to use triggers, or what they call anchors, okay? It's basically something that happens to you that associates with a specific state of mind. So for example, I mean, an example of an anchor would be you're in a bad mood, you hear some good music on the radio, suddenly your state changes, you feel good about things. In this situation, we want to turn on the aggression. So we train in this way. So that when we're struck or movement towards us happens, that is an anchor, a trigger for me to actually attack the opponent. I can actually use a physical trigger as well. And we've seen this earlier on in the lineup. I was standing in this position. Richard moved into area here and he touched me here. You can train for this so that when you feel that touch, bang, you strike the pad in this case. Okay? So Richard moves forward, touches my hand with the pad, like so, and that is the trigger that allows me to go. It's what we call anchors or triggers. Okay? So what you do is you build the state of aggression. You think, this is the worst motherfucker that I've ever seen. I'm going to rip his head off. You think back to a time when you maybe were in that state yourself, when you felt aggression towards someone or something and did nothing about it. This time you're going to utilise it, you're going to use it. You remember what happened at that time, see what you saw, hear what you heard, and feel what you felt and go through the emotions, yeah? And at that point there, you nod at your partner, he moves forward, touches your hand with a pad. That's the trigger. That's the guy moving into your space. And then you release the technique. So what we're now doing is tying up the physical training, boom, with a psychological change that's required for you to be aggressive in a fighting situation. So just remember that. It's a simple little rule. Think back to a time when you were aggressive and you did something. Okay? See what you saw, hear what you heard, feel what you felt at that time. So relive it in your mind's eye. Then get your partner to fire off the trigger. Nod your head, they'll know, they'll touch your hand, release the weapon and hit the target. And that way, when it happens for real, your unconscious has learned a really powerful technique. It's far more powerful actually than learning the actual strike itself. That's easy. So spend a lot of time on these basic visualization and kinesthetic techniques. See what you saw, hear what you heard, feel what you felt at that time, and then go for it.